As South Africa celebrates Youth Day, Newzroom Afrika zooms into the contentious issue of youth unemployment. What are some of the factors that contribute to high levels of unemployment, especially among the youth? Should we change the school curriculum, or should we encourage young people to venture into entrepreneurship? And whose responsibility is it to create jobs and absorb young people? For more on this, we are joined by Dumi, Roux. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, first and foremost, let's start here. In 2016, you responded to the need for youth in Orange Farm to have access to jobs and career opportunities and information. And then a one-day summit was then initiated in 2016. But the youth told you that they needed more. What was their plea, and how did you respond?
All right. So Empower Youth is a product of Empowaworx, and I think I'll start there specifically just to give it a bit of context. We're a marketing agency, and back within that time, we identified the need, yes, to intervene when it comes to the statistic that exists when it comes to youth unemployment, as well as the plight of young people and the triple challenges that they face on a daily basis, being unemployment, inequality, and poverty. And what the young person really said to us within that time was, we need something that is really created or programmed to speak to our now needs, which is obviously talking about a transition into a 4IR in world where everything is now fast-paced and there's new systems, processes to doing everything, and they're sitting with a lack of knowledge and information and access to opportunity. And what they needed us to do is create a comprehensive program that speaks to 20 stages, which is 20 different events within one big event that really unpacks different sectors and industries around the opportunities that lie for youth when it comes to work, when it comes to entrepreneurial development, and really developing the entire human ecosystem of a young person, speaking to the psychography as well, and ensuring that we really inspire, connect, and transform their lives.
All right. And, unemployment is a very sensitive topic, especially
Absolutely.
In South Africa. And one very prominent figure, for instance, DJ Zinhle, found herself in quite boiling water when she had to explain her recent remarks that she made in an interview. Her exact words were, one thing about the South African youth is not just that they are unemployed, a lot of them are unemployable.
Heavy statement.
I know. And she found herself having to answer to this for the entire week, if not longer than that. How do we address this issue?
Sure. I think, I think there was probably just a little bit of a boggle on her side, but, she'll speak to why or what informed that particular statement. But I can certainly sit here and comfortably and confidently say, as a voice of the youth, that our young people are definitely employable. They are willing, and they are, looking to tap into industry. They're looking to be viable citizens of our country. However, the access part is where the problem really is. They've got no access to opportunities. They've got no access to be able to reach into these opportunities. And that's why platforms such as Empower Youth exist, to make sure that we're bringing in young people, we're bringing industry to probe an engagement between the two. I think where we are seated as Empowaworx, or Empower Youth rather, we're sitting and we're engaging these young people on a day-to-day basis on ground. So we get on-ground insights from these young people, and we know the type of young person that we've got in South Africa, the caliber that we've got. It's just that they obviously need the opportunities that allow them to unlock a better future and allow them to unlock an opportunity to contribute to the economy.
Let's talk a little bit more about the role of education and our education system. I mean, do you think that the university curriculum, for instance, speaks to the jobs that are available and that are needed?
Sure. I think there's really been identifiable progress in terms of our curriculum. I think DHET has really made, progress in terms of aligning themselves rather with the economic, standpoint in terms of what we need or the type of skill set that we require. So you can see it within the schooling and the programs that have been implemented to say we need to make sure that we are adapting to where we are now as a country. But where I think I want to head to is the fact that we need to pay far more close attention to really shutting down on speaking ill, if I can put it that way, on TVET colleges and vocational qualifications. And why I say this is specifically of the fact that somebody with a vocational qualification or somebody who's got a TVET qualification becomes more attractive and employable to an employer than somebody who possesses a normal university qualification.
Why is that?
That's specifically speaking to the skills. So two things happen within a vocational qualification or a TVET qualification. You get the skills and you get the knowledge. And that's exactly what employers are looking for. They will put out an ad for a job vacancy. You are required to possess a certain amount of experience. And our young people find themselves not possessing that experience. That's really what disqualifies them then from being able to tap into a particular opportunity. So being able to collaborate, with industry and with higher education in ensuring that within the curriculum and within our models, we incorporate a certain level of skills development and training that speaks to the qualification that the person is acquiring will certainly take us a long way.
All right, let's talk now about job creation, the government versus corporate. Who should create jobs? Whose responsibility is it? And what should an ideal collaboration look like?
Yeah, it's everyone's responsibility. Definitely the ideal collaboration between industry and government will certainly work. I think I'll speak to three things that, will really need to come out of there. We'll speak to policy first. Establishing policies within private and public sector that speak to job creation, focusing on the sustainability of our economy through capacitating and employing young people is going to be important. We'll speak to support and innovation, not having to reinvent the wheel too many times. Again, I'll speak to my platform, which is Empower Youth. We marry industry and young people. So supporting and coming in to, work together with these type of platforms, again, will be able to assist us to move quite right along. And then also ensuring an alignment between, the skills and training sector, as well as what industry is looking for. Industry knows what the need is. There's economic downturns that happen all the time. So people lose jobs. People then get jobs when, the wheel turns around once again. So what we do need is an alignment in terms of the skills that are required in industry, scarce skills to be specific. Gone are the days where we're all chasing the same qualification, whether it to be a doctor, whether it to be, an accountant of sort. There are many more aspects to that value chain. So an alignment of the skill set that's required in industry is also going to be important within this ideal collaboration between government and the public sector. So yes, it's a collaboration between everyone. We've all got to hold hands here and make sure that policies that speak to this are developed. There is a support for existing platforms as well as an alignment with regards to the skills that are being imparted on young people that are getting ready to take spaces in the workplace.
So we've just been joined by Phelisa Nkomo, who is on the line joining us virtually. She is a development economist at Oxfam. And Phelisa, good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Firstly, now, according to statistics, right, so generally females exhibit high levels of unemployment, which was quite surprising to me, but alongside lower absorption and labor force participation rates, why is this and how do we address it?
I think there are several things. In fact, one of your previous speakers, she was making such a very strong argument around how we have actually shamed the role of TVET colleges. But let me take it a step further, is that access to education is a foundation for any social and economic progress in society. So countries that today enjoy economic progress and where citizens lead productive lives is because those countries have invested in education. And education in two fronts. I think the first one, it's around the university education. The second one, it's around what we used to call vocational schools, which in fact, when we took over in 1994, in this context, when I'm saying we, I meant during when the democratic dispensation took over in 1994, some of those vocational schools got closed. And it also meant that we lost the capacity that was linked or that could have been produced from those vocational schools. So that's the second issue. I think the third issue is that there's a direct link between what we call your human capital's capabilities, industrial capabilities of the country. So what I truly mean is, all the throughput that would have come through an education system needs to be absorbed by the industry. And that absorption takes two folds. I think the first one is based on what type of employment opportunities that are created in the economy. And then the second one is on what entrepreneurship opportunities that could be pursued by citizens within the economy. So in South Africa, one of the things that we've experienced over the years is what we call a decline in GDP output. So a decline in GDP output is a simple thing that says it's the value of goods, or it's a market value of goods that get produced in the economy or manufactured in the economy. So the decline of GDP output to 0.6%, as we speak, in fact, just the last quarter, by the way, the first quarter of 2024, the State SA had actually indicated that our GDP growth was 0.1. So now
Phelisa,
combined with combined with the decline in GDP growth, it means that younger people are not going to be absorbed in the economy because they don't only they are semi-skilled. Those who are skilled actually are experiencing what we call in economics underemployment. You have South Africans, young people who are scientists who are working as receptionists, right? So someone has done, for instance, a communication degree, but they're working as a receptionist. That's called underemployment. But because we are an economy that has been growing very slowly, so what we then do, we tend to celebrate those small things, and we shouldn't be doing that, because then it means that when we celebrate those things, that the economic, both social and economic progress that this country is meant to actually experience will always be delayed. But it also means that the growth and accumulation of assets by young people will be delayed, meaning that they'll only start accumulating assets when they're age of 40, 45, and 50. And that has, massive implications for generally for South Africa.
And speaking of those implications, I mean, given all of these challenges, would you then say, Phelisa, that entrepreneurship perhaps is the silver bullet?
Absolutely. In fact, it's a combination, by the way. We still need industry, still need workers. So, and hence, one of the key arguments we've been making over the years is that we can't continue to implement the very same macroeconomic policy that is constrained in this country. Now, when you talk about macroeconomic policy, there are four things that are important in there. It's the monetary policy, it's the fiscal policy, it's the industrial development policy, it's the entrepreneurship support, in this context, business support, right? And of course, it's the land question, okay? So all those factors actually are quite important for us. So what it means is that when a young person today is thinking of an idea, where do they go to have money? To access money to even apply for a business. Recently, the Minister of a Small Business hosted a very good conference called Congress on Entrepreneurship in Cape Town. And I think there were so many things that were discussed. But one of the countries that was in attendance, I think it was Algeria, they indicated that it takes 2 days for them to register business online. In South Africa, it takes several weeks. Now, if it takes several weeks to actually register business, but then the second issue is access to finance, right? And then the third one is going to be infrastructure. Where do you operate your business from? From your backyard, from your garage, and where are the factories where they're actually allocated by government? Now, here's the most important thing. Why South Africans must continue to demand the need for support for infrastructure to support is that what made apartheid economy to be so successful, amongst the key things that they did, they created what we call industrial parks, which were highly subsidized by government. And whenever entrepreneurs are not able to pay, government will step in, and then entrepreneurs will come back and actually pay, their rentals. At the end, obviously, and then they'll have what we call a manager of the center, etc. We've inherited some of those centers.
All right, let's pause right there just for a second. Yes, let's pause right there just for a second, Phelisa. So I would like to know from you then, Dumi, this is a very important year in our democratic landscape. Young people are still in this unemployment rut. What are your plans as Empower Youth, and where can young people find you?
Sure. I think for us it's just to ensure that we're growing our platform bigger and better, specifically aligned to the demands and the needs of our young people. So where we are right now is we're looking at expanding our current platform, but the biggest thing that we really require right now is the support of industry, and that's why I speak so strongly on collaboration and not having to reinvent the wheel. So we need industry to come together with government as well, so we can all create this platform that then speaks to the development of young people in a comprehensive sort of manner, in terms of identifying exactly what it is that they require, how we will then connect them to the next possible employer or funder if you are an entrepreneur. And again, I would like to just reiterate that the fact that we need to focus on our township entrepreneurs is another important factor to note. Growing the township economy, again, lies on creating the jobs that we need now for young people to be absorbed. So the NDP has a plan to create at least 11 million jobs by 2030. And again, Empower Youth is a platform that allows this goal to actually become viable and feasible. So we'll need collaboration with industry and government. We need the support. Let's get together and ensure that we're creating a platform for young people that is then going to be progressive and allow them to tap into their future and unlock the potential that lies within them.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. And thank you very much to Phelisa Nkomo as well, who joins us on the line. Phelisa Nkomo is from Oxfam. She is a development economist. And of course, in the studio, I was joined by Dumi Le Roux, who's the head of Empower Youth.